The Department of Defense manages a real estate portfolio unlike anything else on Earth. We're talking about roughly 550,000 structures spread across 28 million acres globally. The replacement value for this infrastructure sits comfortably around $1 trillion. On the ground, the reality of these installations looks vastly different. Shredded fighter hangars, runways submerged in floodwater, and high-end air defenses left non-functional. America's capacity to project power rests entirely on its physical foundation. If a jet doesn't have a secure hangar, or a supply ship doesn't have an intact pier, the hardware is useless. Right now, that critical infrastructure is quietly hemorrhaging billions of dollars. The U.S. military is staring down a severe readiness crisis because its bases are actively crumbling from the inside out, and the money required to fix them has vanished from the ledger.
To understand where the money is going, we have to look at the first adversary attacking these bases: extreme weather along the U.S. coast. When Hurricane Michael tore through Florida, it placed Tyndall Air Force Base directly in the path of a Category 5 storm. The wind and surge ripped apart maintenance structures and dormitories, leaving behind a staggering $5 billion in damages. Shortly after, Hurricane Florence battered North Carolina. The storm dumped nearly 30 inches of rain over several days, collapsing roofs and inflicting $3.6 billion in structural damage to Camp Lejeune alone. The military relies heavily on private developers to build and manage base housing. When catastrophic weather hits, standard property insurance payouts fall drastically short of the estimated repair costs. Because these agreements fail to cover the true scale of the devastation, the military is forced to foot the bill out of pocket. The devastation extends far inland. In the Midwest, a combination of rapid snowmelt and extreme precipitation pushed nearby rivers over their levees. Floodwaters swallowed roughly a third of the installation at Offutt Air Force Base, drowning vital command and control support facilities. The ongoing threat of rising sea levels and sinking soil is actively eroding the foundation at Norfolk Naval Station, the largest Navy base in the world, making future disruptions to maritime supply lines a statistical certainty. Extreme weather is acting as a relentless, active adversary. Between flooded runways and shredded hangars, taxpayers have been left holding an $8.6 billion bill in repair costs just to get crucial combat systems back online. A crumbling domestic coastline is a fraction of the problem. Overseas in the Middle East, a very different kind of damage is depleting military resources. In recent retaliatory campaigns, Iranian drones and missiles have struck over 100 targets spread across 11 different American military bases in the region. In one of the most glaring breaches, an aging 1960s Iranian fighter jet managed to bypass advanced American air defenses entirely, successfully bombing a base in Kuwait. The administration restricted satellite imagery to obscure the results of these strikes, but internal assessments reveal the destruction of command headquarters, elite radar systems, and dozens of aircraft, including high-value assets like E-3 Sentry planes and MQ-9 Reapers. This tally of specialized hardware and hardened facilities brings the total undisclosed bill to an estimated $5 billion. By obscuring the true extent of the battle damage, officials created a massive unfunded liability. This drains military resources from the shadows, aggressively compounding the financial strain already caused by domestic climate disasters. This chart shows the immediate financial hole. Between the $8.6 billion in weather damage and the $5 billion from adversarial attacks, the military is staring at over $13 billion in sudden infrastructure debt. To rebuild, the Department of Defense desperately needs its military construction budget. Instead of surging funding to fix these bases, billions of dollars were abruptly removed from the military construction ledger. To free up this cash, the Pentagon officially delayed or canceled 127 critical domestic military construction projects. The sacrificed items weren't bureaucratic luxuries. They included a much-needed cyber operations facility in Virginia, aging hazardous material warehouses, and elementary schools and childcare centers for military families. That $3.6 billion was diverted to build roughly 175 miles of fencing along the U.S.-Mexico border, alongside additional funds routed to support domestic immigration enforcement. The Pentagon is actively starving its own essential infrastructure. choosing to finance domestic political priorities over the basic maintenance required to keep its military installations functional. The military is bleeding cash to replace bombed equipment overseas, struggling to rebuild coastal bases out of pocket, and canceling critical domestic upgrades to build a border wall. A multi-billion-dollar drain on infrastructure has immediate, tangible consequences for operational readiness. When infrastructure fails, combat capability degrades. Advanced F-22 stealth fighters are left sitting without protective hangars. At the same time, specialized troops, like the Army's only air assault division, are pulled away from their contingency training to guard a domestic border. Then there is the human cost. Because budgets are defunded and insurance payouts fall short, military families are frequently left living in neglected, mold-infested housing while the repair backlog grows. National security relies on the literal foundation beneath the military. If that ground is sinking, bombed, and politically defunded, the entire structure of American global power is at risk.